Hello comic book guys and gals, and welcome to Comic Mag Musings. I'm your host, Bill Miller. Today we're going to be doing another comic book haul of 50-cent books that I got from a comic book shop about an hour away from my house. As I said during the last video, I live in Phoenix. There are several comic book shops in the Phoenix area, none that are particularly close to me. And this one certainly fits that bill. But it's a rare opportunity to get some bronze, copper age books. Nothing spectacular, but bronze and copper age for a really good price, 50 cents an issue. So I took advantage of it, went 50-cent bin diving, and these are some of the books that I came up with. So Tarzan number 258. And today I'll talk about comic book conventions. So in Phoenix, there's one comic book convention that's held each year that used to be called Phoenix Comic Con. Now I think it's called Phoenix Fan Fusion. And it had an interim name between those two for a year or two. So it's usually held around Labor Day weekend, each late May, which it's kind of warm about that time, but it's pretty enjoyable. Although I'd say with each succeeding year, for me at least, it's less and less enjoyable. Here's a Marvel Tarzan. We had a DC Tarzan earlier. So I think as this particular comic convention grows in popularity, they tend to appeal more and more toward folks who are interested in pop culture, movies, books, people who are into video games, tabletop games, cosplay. This one's really cool. It's Conan number 1. Anime, manga, things that I'm just not particularly interested in. It's cool to a certain extent in that it brings in folks from a diverse background, and hopefully they'll be exposed to comic books and get involved in collecting them. Love this Conan. But though that's my hope, that's probably not the case. So there just aren't a whole lot of reasonably priced comic book dealers at the convention anymore that have good prices on some older Silver Age, Bronze, Copper books that you can peruse and maybe pick up a couple. They're in there, but they're few and far between. Most of the vendors are selling new stuff, manga, trades, or new issues sold by creators, whether they be from nationally known publishers or indies and they're completely creator-owned titles. More importantly, I guess more frustratingly, is that the panels are a lot less comic book related than they used to be. So I've been going to Phoenix Comic Con, now Phoenix Fan Fusion, for, I don't know, at least 10 years, probably more. And when I first started going, they would have a lot of panels devoted to comic book topics, whether it's comic book source material related to movies that are coming out, or Marvel versus DC, or panel spotlight on comic book creators, both writers and artists. It really ran the gamut. Pre-code horror comic books for kids, just went down the line. Those seem to be a lot less frequent now than they were 10, even 5 years ago. And so I still go, but I don't seem to enjoy it quite as much as I used to. They used to have another comic convention called the Amazing Arizona Comic Con. And that was held in Mesa, which is a big suburb of Phoenix, for several years. And I'd go to that, and that was very much comic book centric in both its programming and the vendors that would show up. They usually spotlighted Image. Right, Robert Kirkman was usually there. Several of the stars from the Walking Dead TV show, Todd McFarlane, Greg Capullo were usually there. And so it was a great opportunity to get to interact with some big name comic book creators. And more importantly, go to panels that were focused on comic books, comic book collecting, and comic book related media. Moon Knight, I always pick that guy up when I get a chance. I love John Carter. This is certainly a reading copy. You can see the damage right there. So I'll probably go again this year. Had never heard of this guy before. Robotics. I imagine, it's my guess, that it was coincided with the toy line, but I don't know that. If you do know, please drop me a line in the comments. So Phoenix Fan Fusion is pretty big, maybe between 70 and 100,000 people attend. So it's a big con, not too big to where there's a crush of people, but big enough to accommodate all sorts of interests. I just wish that they would focus a little bit more on their roots. This is the last. So that's it for the comic book haul for today. I hope you enjoyed seeing the books. If you haven't already done so, I would encourage you to watch the other videos I have. I would also encourage you to subscribe. That way you're notified of new content as soon as it's released. Thumbs up and comments are always appreciated. And until next time, remember, we're taking over the world one comic book at a time.